Hi everybody, Bragg here from Celestron. Welcome to the 2021 Virtual Winter Star Party. I've been asked to give you a little demonstration on a product that we announced in January of last year. We started shipping them sometime in the beginning of 2020. It's doing very well for us. It's designed for the beginner, but it's also something you guys that are serious about this, who love to do outreach, will really find attractive. This is called the StarSense Explorer. We have four models. We have a 80 millimeter and a 114 millimeter, of course a refractor and a reflector, that are in the LT series. They retail for around $180. They're a little smaller tripod and a little different control for holding your phone on the telescope. It actually fits on the scope itself. This is the DX version. It's offered in an 80 millimeter refractor and 130 millimeter reflector. As you can see, the cradle here is off to the side. This is where your smartphone is held. There's a little mirror system right here that actually reflects the night sky into the cell phone lens to help the user find where the objects are, and has a list of objects and all that kind of stuff. We'll go through that in a second. This series sells for around $400, the 102 and the 130. Okay, as you can see, it comes with a nice sturdy tripod. It also includes a nice 4-inch refractor. It does offer the ability on both LT and DX series to use a 2-inch diagonal. This actually has the ability to put a slip-in 2-inch diagonal on it, so you can use 2-inch eyepieces. And because it has a dovetail, it's actually, the tube is actually movable, so you can balance the heavier weighted eyepieces back here on the back of the scope and not have any issues. So let me give you the basics of what this does. This is the first telescope on the market that uses smartphone technology to help the beginner find the objects in the night sky. It comes with a little piece of software that is called StarSense. This is free, downloadable by anybody, but if you are a purchaser of the LT or the DX series scopes, you actually get a code to activate the software so it works with the telescope together. That code is entered into the software. You can do up to 5 phones, so multiple family members and stuff like that can use their own phone instead of having to use the same phone. But that's a really advantage for families with teenagers and stuff like that. They want to take the telescope around, they can use their own phone and not have to take their parents' phone. On top of that, this is very much like a hand controller for a computerized telescope. It works very similar. You do an alignment procedure. It's very simple. You put the phone on the cradle, and underneath this little cap here is a mirror, and the mirror is pointed towards the sky. The sky actually reflects off of the mirror into the cell phone lens, and that is part of the alignment procedure to get the telescope's eyepiece, the object in the eyepiece, aligned with the smartphone. The second thing it does is it offers an opportunity through a menu, and you probably can't see this well, but I'll do some close-ups of this for you and include in the video. But it offers objects for city view and dark sky viewing, and that gives the user an opportunity, even while they're in the city, to see some pretty cool objects. So basically what happens is you start the phone, the software, and then you attach the phone to the cradle, and you use the controls. This is an XYZ holder, which has multiple platform movements up and down, forward and backward, side and side, and you center the lens over the phone. So you basically go into the setup feature to do the alignment of the phone, and there's a little menu that says Camera Setup Assistant, and the camera assistant actually walks you through how to get the phone and the mirror aligned together. By the way, this works on almost all the phones on the market. Google, Apple, Android, all that stuff is functional with our software and with this setup procedure. And then once the phone is aligned over the mirror, then the camera on the phone is aligned over the mirror, then there's a procedure to line the telescope on an object just like you would the finder scope. Now we include the finder scope. You don't really need the finder scope unless you want to get out there and do some, freewheeling and not use the smartphone technology to find objects. But the finder scope is rarely used while you're using the phone. So you point the telescope at an object, you line that object up in the center of the eyepiece, and then you have a crosshair functionality on the phone that actually gives you a look at the object. You do that during the daytime, by the way. That gives you a view of the object that you're looking at through the eyepiece. You center the object in the phone by moving a little target around. It's a crosshair actually. And once you get the object that's in the telescope in the center of the crosshairs, then you tell it you've done that. That's the alignment procedure. You have to do that during the day. Don't wait until it gets dark to do that, or it can't reflect the object that you're pointing the telescope to properly. So that's an important functionality of the alignment procedure. If you don't do it during the day, you're not going to have a whole lot of luck getting it done at night. So do that before the sun sets, and then once you've done that, the phone actually saves that functionality as long as the platform doesn't move around, and that you can put the phone back in the same spot. And then you just tell the phone that you've done that procedure, and it comes up and says, do we still need to do an alignment, or is the alignment still there? And then you just select that it's still there, and you go forward, and then the menu pops open and gives you all the objects. I did this with a group of guys early last year that a lot of them have never looked through a telescope. A few of them have, but not all of them. And we took this out in front of a friend of mine's house. It was terrible. The front porch light was on. The motion detector light over his garage was on. There was a street light just a few feet from his driveway, and it was not the greatest conditions, obviously. But we looked at Orion's Nebula, we looked at the double cluster, we looked at Andromeda, and we looked at the moon. And each object is selected through the menu. It actually gives you some recommendations, and you select those. And then it tells you with arrows as to where to point the telescope. And once you get it on the object, the target goes from red to green. And then when you get the object that you're looking at centered in the center of the green target, then it's actually in the eyepiece. We did that for 4 objects with 10 guys in about 25 or 30 minutes. Most people that have never been outside with the telescope would have really no clue as to finding anything other than the moon. Maybe they see some bright things that they think might be planets or not, but if they don't know they're planets, then it's a real challenge. But we also looked through not long ago, back in December, when the conjunction was going on between Saturn and Jupiter. We had it out in my driveway. We had it up and down the street with 2 or 3 different neighbors looking at that, and it actually came up and said there's a conjunction, and we were able to see through this telescope a pretty cool view of Saturn and Jupiter together side by side. It's very simple to find. In fact, one of my neighbors said he saw it the night before while he was walking on the street trying to see it, because I've been mentioning it to him, and he swore he saw it. Well, it turned out it was Mars that he was seeing, and wasn't really sure what he was looking at. Of course, it's way high in the sky compared to Jupiter and Saturn. And when I asked him to point it out to me, he pointed up there, and said it's up there. I said, no, Saturn and Jupiter's over there. And he goes, how do you know that? So it helps to know a little bit, but this actually helped us find it, and it was really cool. I really don't know if you get the gist of how this works without really seeing it done, but believe me, it is the easiest telescope I've ever used. Another cool function about it is, if you align a computerized telescope, if you move that telescope, you have to do a new alignment, because the counts and everything get messed up. With this telescope, during that evening with the 10 guys, we couldn't see Andromeda because it was behind trees. So we actually picked it up and walked to another side of the yard. This actually does plate solving, so the camera is photographing objects off of the reflected mirror and determining where the telescope is. So that actually allowed us to move the telescope. It said don't move the telescope. It took about 3 seconds. It did a photograph of the sky. It plate solved it in the software, and then it said, okay, here's where the Andromeda Galaxy is now, move it to that. And it was dead on. So that's a really, really cool feature, especially if you're doing outreach, especially if you're in a city situation, maybe a park where you want to look at something at one direction, it's covered by trees. That is, to me, probably the biggest advantage of using this type of software in your phone connected to your telescope. I mean, it's not really connected, but in functionality with the telescope, and it worked really, really good. I think, I actually showed this at the Winter Star Party in 2020, and I probably showed it to 40 or 50 people, and we did really crazy things like making sure the telescope wasn't level, the tripod was all kiltered and everything, and all of the objects we put in there actually were right in the center of the eyepiece. So we did that 2 or 3 nights in a row, and lots of people got to look at it, and lots of people were impressed. I would encourage you to reach out and look at our website, Celestron.com. Look at the StarSense Explorer series. Again, there's 2, the LT, which is around $180, and the DX, which is around $399. I hope you picked up something here. I hope this helps you in your efforts to reach out to the individuals that are interested in their hobby and that are beginners and want to learn something. I think if you showed one of these to one of the beginners, they would be ready to get into this hobby really quickly. It would help them a long way to finding objects without having to learn the night sky and all that kind of stuff. I hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual Star Party. Look forward to seeing you in 2022 at the Winter Star Party. Thanks very much for listening. Bye.